This is Trabr. We're creating the technology and the ecosystem for everything building. We're creating a market network which boasts a marketplace and a mobile-first, cloud-based suite of project control tools for builders, consumers, trades, suppliers, for everybody. All on a smartphone, all remote, all mobile, all for building. This is Trabr, and this is a building conversation. G'day, this is Tony Huxley from Trabr Limited. I'm delighted to be joined today by the head of Cape Cod Australia and in his spare time the President of the New South Wales HIA, Rob Moerman. G'day Rob.
G'day Tony, how's things?
Good. Thanks for joining us, really appreciate you making the time. So you've been at this for a long time. Do you think that there's been any substantive change to expectations in, say, the past 20 years for home consumers, home renovation consumers? Or are the motivation of the drivers sort of pretty much today what they were 20 years ago? Notwithstanding the pandemic that we're living in.
Sure. Look, I think, have expectations changed? I think the drivers are the same. So the need, the wants, keeping up with the Joneses. However, the expectation...
I guess pride and ego are big things, aren't they?
I think the expectations have changed because the information is more available. So, I mean, 20, 30, 40 years ago, the need was, I need to do this. So, however, not everybody is a really good researcher. So you would then
and
go
we didn't have Google back then.
Correct. So you'd go to the local paper.
You'd
look at your builders at the end, and everybody starting with an A because they wanted to try and get to the top of the yellow pages list and or in the...
the old AAA Aardvark Constructions.
they're the ones. Okay, I'll try them first. Whereas nowadays with Google and with, I guess, the availability of information, people do research. They actually start to often believe what they read.
Yeah, I get it.
Now, reading is an extremely important part of any research. However, digging deeper into...
Not taking it at face value,
correct.
For sure. Yeah, like Dr. Google.
Sure, absolutely. So I think, therefore expectations have grown enormously because they actually think that everybody can provide you with a walkthrough design, for example, and that should be really, really easy to do. Everybody thinks that you should be able to provide them with a written quote, and that should come free of charge, even though that's possibly industry standard. I don't think people really understand the amount of work and the enormous effort that goes into all of these things. They think you can do it on the computer, so it must be easy. They expect to get first class information.
I guess if you were selling box A, and box A had specifications that you didn't need to change, and you could just generate a price for it. But all of the work that you do is design driven, isn't it? Because every house is different, every renovation is different, every extension is different. So generating a quote, like it's how long's a piece of string?
Exactly. So and it's and to be tied to a good fixed price quote compared to, I think that's going to cost you about that much, is a big difference. So, I mean, we've always spent a lot of time in estimating to bring the right approach to that, so that people can feel confident that when they've signed on the dotted line for $100, it's going to cost $100. And this isn't to disparage project home building, but even with that, at least from the slab up or from the ground up, it's relatively, like you said, you've got the prices already established. Everything from the ground down still is requires an estimated
unknown.
Correct, and they need to take levels and do all of the bits and pieces they need to do to give the client the correct information. So
in terms of changing expectations, we're in 2020 now. This is on a tangent to that last question. Do you find that home consumers or home renovation consumers, I guess, are after more fixed price arrangements, or happy to work more on a cost plus basis, or is there a trend? Is it predictable? Is it going in any different direction?
Look, I think that in general the only predictable outcome when you are pricing a project is that the client will generally always go for the cheapest quote. So
regardless of whether it's one or the other.
That's usually the starting point, and after which point that you need to actually sell the difference.
Yeah.
So and understood that if you've got a quote for seemingly the same thing, one's $100, one's $90, why wouldn't you go for the 90? So that's where reading and understanding and doing your research in relation to the information becomes the absolutely most important thing that you could ever do with your time.
And do you as a rule do work on cost plus or fixed price?
Everything we do is fixed price.
Yep.
So
notwithstanding that old V of variations?
Sure, but the variations are generally generated by clients.
No doubt,
not by builders.
Not suggesting otherwise.
Yeah.
So as a rule though, and you find that consumers are good with that sort of.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, most prudent consumers want to know.
Okay. Yeah. So it's definitive at the front end.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So barring me changing my mind, that's what it's going to cost me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and even once they change their mind, they'll still generally complain about it. However, that's just
we can't help ourselves. We're humans. We do that.
Yeah.
So, in terms of responding to those changing needs and expectations, has technology factored into that with your organisation to any degree?
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, you couldn't do the amount of drawing that we do by hand anymore. I mean, it's just wonderful. I mean, AutoCAD, Revit, just to name, I guess a few.
The two main ones.
They're fantastic tools that you put the information in, and you do get to provide really good information back to your client through them. So, I mean, the old hand drawings were immaculate, and however, to start to make changes and add to, and I mean, IT has just nailed it. And I think I mentioned before just the ability to now even do walkthroughs of your designs, so that people can actually, once you've got a design, you can furnish it, you can walk people through it.
So you're using AR tools in that sort of...
So they can feel, it's almost like they can feel touch. So one of our real sticking points has always been, not so much the bedroom, but the stairwell areas or living spaces. How does that feel?
How to bring three-dimensionality.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the scary part, in many respects, unfortunately, with a lot of our planners and compliance people now, they can't live without the 3D modelling. Okay, so they can't visual. I mean, people no longer can visualise off a 2D plan. So. Because it does give you perspective in relation to something that's being built on the side of a hill or down in the valley. How's that going to look from the street? I mean, they're wonderful tools. Shadow diagrams that can be generated off them, and particularly in high density areas, that just becomes really important. So
and then to be able to visualise that shadow rather than just see it on a drawing.
Well, you just watch it as
and you spin it around.
Correct. As the hours tick by, you watch the shadows move. They're wonderful things. So 3D. That's a biggie. Any form of communication in the IT world now, whether it be, can you imagine living life now without a mobile phone?
No.
25 years ago when the brick came out, everybody was thinking this is the start of something new, but I don't think any of us even knew then what we would be doing on our phones now. Is just amazing. Emails, texts, text messaging, probably a form that I personally don't particularly like, but that's more about my age group than it is about its ability to communicate short, sharp messages to get the job done. So a lot of clients are using it. Clients are time poor now. If you want to compare 20, 30 years ago. And so there's so many demands on them, so you need quick forms of communication, easy. Photographs that you send through your phone to give better explanation in relation to what things are happening and how things are being driven. Being able to send and sign documents and send them back without actually having formal meetings, where appropriate, has made just a massive difference. I mean, I guess the apps that are available now have made life, if used well, a lot easier.
Rob Moerman, thanks for your time. It's been fantastic. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Good on you.